Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another session of the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project's Stay Healthy at Home webinar series. So as some of you may know, this webinar series is part of our Healthy Lifestyles Project, which is a program dedicated to helping folks connect with education and resources on all aspects of health and wellness. So we are celebrating National Disability Employment Awareness Month all month long, and all of the webinars for this particular month are focused on issues around employment for folks with disabilities. So we're so happy that you are here today. Before we launch into our presentation, I just wanted to remind everybody that we welcome questions and comments throughout the webinar. So you can put that right in the questions box. Just click on that little triangle next to the questions tab and type your question in. I will be keeping an eye on the questions box the whole time. So we will be dedicating time towards the end of this webinar to address all of the questions in the questions box. No need to send duplicate questions. We will be keeping an eye on that and we will address it again during the Q&A at the end of this session. I am so excited to be joined today by Rob Kimmel, our guest presenter. Rob is a training and consultation specialist for the Employment and Transition projects at the Boggs Center on Developmental Disabilities. Rob provides training, consultation, and technical assistance regarding best practices in supported employment and transition to adulthood. Prior to his work at the Boggs Center, Rob was a head teacher at the Douglas Developmental Disabilities Center of Rutgers University, as well as the Assistant Director of Employment and Technology at the Eden School of Eden Autism Services. These experiences have given Rob the opportunity to work with many individuals with developmental disabilities and their families as they navigate the challenges and opportunities they will encounter transitioning to adulthood. Rob is a board-certified behavior analyst and received his master's degree in teaching from New Jersey City University with a focus in special education. He earned his Bachelor of Arts from Rutgers University with a double major in communication and psychology. So again, thank you so much, Rob. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Ashley. I very much appreciate being here with everybody today, as well as just having the opportunity to speak to you about a topic that I'm very passionate about, and that is the use of social media in more than just the typical ways that we think about using social media. This being Disability Employment Awareness Month, I wanted to really take this opportunity to connect social media, something that's around us all the time, with the struggle, challenge, and opportunity of getting into the workforce, finding work, and obtaining work that is really meaningful to you. So before we get into the meat of this, and or the fish of this, if you're enjoying the little sushi GIF that's right here in the beginning, I want to know what all of you know about social media. So the first thing that I want to do, just to get a base idea of where everyone stands on social media, I have a poll for you, and it's, which social media have you used before? So you should see the poll on your screen right now. If for some reason you have trouble interacting with the poll, you can feel free to put your answers into the questions section. The question that we have is, which social media have you used before? And please select any and all that apply: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or another that I haven't listed here. GoToWebinar only allows us to list 5 at a time. So it's not that I'm not being inclusive of other social media. We only have 5 options. So just a few more seconds, and then I'm going to close this up and we'll launch it and see where people stand on social media. All right. So you'll see the results of our poll here. Which social media have you used before? Many of you have Facebook. So 86% of you that responded said you have a Facebook. 43% said you have used or have a Twitter account. 71% Instagram, absolutely. You got to take pictures of all your food and share it with your friends. 43% LinkedIn. I am so happy to see such a high percentage of you have LinkedIn. That really excites me, and we're going to talk so much more about that later too. And then 29% other. If you'd like to share what those other ones are, feel free to in the question section. I'd be curious to know. But it's nice to see that many of you have experience with a lot of different platforms, and that is very encouraging. For those of you that weren't able to answer the poll because you haven't used social media yet or you're not quite sure what it is, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about what social media is. So the definition that we have, the clinical definition, I guess, is the social media is a broad category of websites and applications that enable users to create and share content and or participate in social networking. So that's a lot of words that basically just mean that social media allows us to view what other people share and respond to it and connect with people. That's what social media allows us to do, and we can do that on the computer, we could do it on our phones through applications, but essentially it allows us to, at any time, to be able to connect with other people, see what they're sharing, share stuff ourselves, and talk about those things in real time. And each social media that you guys have talked about already, as well as some of the ones that are listed here in this picture, all show that if you're talking about the same thing, the same message, you might shape that message or talk about something differently depending on what social media you're using. So it's kind of the same idea as the way that you speak to your parents at home may not be the same way that we should be speaking to our friends or to someone at work or someone at maybe a day program or somebody that you just met. There's going to be different ways that we talk about the things that we like and the things that we want to do, depending on the social media we're using. Same as in any conversation we're having with people. In the picture here, it shows 8 different social media icons, and a few of them that I'll point out all talk about donuts. So if we look at the Facebook one, it says, I like donuts. We might put that in our Facebook status saying that we like donuts, and then our friends will see that we like donuts and say, yeah, so do I. Another one, Instagram, we talked about. You may take a picture of that donut, that fancy donut that you just saw when you were out somewhere. It's like, and here's a beautiful picture of my donut. And then from there, if we look at LinkedIn, LinkedIn being very much about work skills. My skills include donut eating. How many of you guys believe that donut eating is an important skill? I certainly do, and I hope you do too. But each social media allows us to frame the message a little bit differently, and that's important to recognize. If the donuts didn't do it for you, here's another picture just explaining how you might talk about cats on different kinds of social media. Facebook, I like my cat. LinkedIn, I'm skilled at training cats. Potentially Instagram, here's a hipster picture of my cat. And so all of these cats, they're featured in different ways using different types of social media. Even things like trying to get reviews on where is the best place to get my cat groomed. That's a type of social media. And when we think about social media, all those applications and those websites, all of those have the option for you to have a username, for you to have a password, for you to like something, to follow something. All of them allow you to not just view what other people create, but allow you to respond and like and give feedback on it. Anytime that you can do that, that's a type of social media. And that actually is so much bigger than a lot of us think about sometimes. When we think about social media, often we'll jump right to Facebook or Instagram or something that's on our phones. But social media is actually a lot of different websites. So Yahoo, YouTube, um, any type of place that allows you to rate and review. So anytime you've bought something online that allows you to rate and review, that's a type of social media. And so looking at this picture here on this slide, it shows probably hundreds of different types of social media based on different reasons that you would use it. And this right here is wildly overwhelming. Wildly overwhelming. It might make you feel like this little emoticon right here, just overwhelmed. And that's totally fair. It's fair. What we do have to realize, though, is that while this is overwhelming, while there's so much social media, how can I even begin to think about using some of these for work? We need to remember that it's an opportunity. Social media is a part of all of our lives now, everybody's life, and we should be using it and understanding how powerful it is, how often we come into contact with it, that it can provide us so many opportunities to connect with people. And during this month, when you've heard a lot about employment and heard a lot about what we can do to prepare, even during this time, even during COVID, where we don't get the opportunity to go out and see as many people as we might have in the past, social media allows us to continue to connect. You're doing so right now just by being part of this webinar. By being part of this webinar, you're connecting here, you're going to ask questions, you are going to learn things, and you're going to meet people. I'm happy to meet you guys myself. So I said that this is an opportunity. Social media is an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for many reasons. One being what we just talked about with COVID and coronavirus. We are building community and networking through the computers, through FaceTiming, through all of these virtual and digital means, so that we can continue to have community and talk to our friends and meet with employers and go on interviews and learn more about, say, the work that we'd like to do. Social media allows us to do all of that. So it's so incredibly important, especially right now. This time has shown us how powerful it can be, and how, while it also shows that the importance of face-to-face contact, without this at all, we would have been so much more secluded than we were. This is an opportunity and can continue to be an opportunity post-pandemic as well. When we think about the numbers, I want to show you all a few graphs. And this actually matches very closely with the poll results that you all showed earlier. Now, in this, this graphic here, it shows some data about how many people have reported having a Facebook, which is in the green bar, that first green bar, and then the purple bar below it says 65%, which is how many recruiters, people that work for companies looking for employees, how many of them use Facebook for that first Facebook bar graph. Now, it would seem here that there's more people on Facebook than there are recruiters on Facebook looking for employees. But I would say to you, and since 86% of you said that you have a Facebook, how many of you have actually used Facebook to find work? Most of the time, if we're thinking about the social media and how we're using that social media, most of the time we use Facebook to connect with friends, to connect with family, to share things and talk about things that we like to do, not necessarily using Facebook for work. So of the many of you that have said you used Facebook, I would say that much smaller amounts of you know how to use Facebook for finding a job. I know I didn't know how to use Facebook to find a job until much later after I had it. But what you'll see in that purple bar is that so many recruiters are using Facebook to look for talent, to look for good future employees like you who are looking for work. So that's an opportunity. That's something that people are not using Facebook to find work, but there's so many people on Facebook looking for employees. And then the same is true for both LinkedIn and for Twitter. And if you look at our poll results from earlier, 43% of you said that you have a LinkedIn, which is amazing. It's so awesome because LinkedIn is it's a social media platform meant for professionals. It's meant to connect you with and network you with employers and people that are looking for new, strong employees that are motivated, just like you. And even now, there's a huge difference between how many job seekers like you are looking for work on LinkedIn versus how many recruiters are looking for employees. So you see the difference between the numbers there. That's an opportunity when you have such a difference in those numbers. Same goes for Twitter below that. So these opportunities are very clear. And here's just some more numbers and graphs for you. But basically, social media offers everyone so many opportunities to find work and to connect and communicate with employers and people that can help you find work or help you find the work that you really, really want. And so we should be taking advantage of that. And we're going to do that today by looking at the different ways that we can really focus on social media, how we can send out messages and connect with people to find those opportunities and those jobs. But with social media, some of you may have heard from people that you know that love and care for you that social media can also be dangerous at times. And that's true. There are pros and cons to social media. And I want to talk to you about some of them in relation to putting out information about yourself, as well as how we frame ourselves to make ourselves look as good as we can be for any recruiter, any person from a company that's looking for talent. I want them to be able to look at you and the information that you put out on the internet and say, wow, that person looks like they're going to be great. I would really like to see them on my team. So let's talk about the pros and cons, because everything that we're going to talk about today is going to emphasize or really strengthen the pros so that we're doing all of those things in the green box. And all of the things that are red, that are dangerous in the cons box, we're going to work to make those disappear or to minimize the effect that it has on you. So pros. First, social media. For the most part, all the things we're going to talk about today, they are free. They cost $0 to get started, to do what we need to do. Next, it's an opportunity to show how great you are. The title of this presentation was the Picture Perfect Filter. For those of you that have used Facebook or Instagram or anything that involves taking a picture, you might have noticed that in the software you can choose to make yourself black and white, to give yourself some interesting color choices, or maybe put bunny ears on yourself. I wouldn't do the bunny ears part for work, but those are filters. Those are different ways to really showcase what you look like. And that's what we can do with social media for work and for recruiters. We want to show people how great you are and that you're going to be such an amazing employee for their team, because that's what every recruiter wants. So this gives you the opportunity to show how great you are. Social media also allows you to communicate right now. It's not like you have to send a letter in the mail and then wait a week for a possible response or get no response whatsoever. Social media allows someone to communicate with you. You can communicate back right away, and that really helps make connections, which is that next one with the three silhouettes there, the three people. Making connections. The more people that you can connect with, the more opportunities that are going to come your way, the more jobs that you're going to hear about, the more people that are going to hear about you and the work that you want to do. The more people we connect with, the more opportunities we get and the more jobs we can find. And that's how we find those jobs and opportunities. Furthermore, if we have a social media and we're planning on really using our social media to help with our employment search, it also allows people to find you. It allows people to say, oh, I need an employee that's really interested in doing this, this, and this. If you put those three terms, the this, and this, that I'm just making up right now, if you put those in your profile, if you put those things in your social media, there's a good chance that they could find you and say, wow, that person wants to give the same things that I'm looking for. Maybe we can make a connection, because that's what everything's about for employers and for employees, job seekers like you, is that you want to have work, and you want to be part of a team, and you want to make money, and you want to be successful, and that's fantastic. And they want somebody that wants to do good work and be a part of the team and be dependable and come to work every day, show up and with a smile on your face and be happy and ready to go. All of those things together, we're making that match between you and with employers, and social media can help with that. It also allows you, if you're not actively communicating, maybe you just started, to learn about different kinds of work. It's that little magnifying glass at the bottom of the green box, to learn about all of the different employers out there, all of the different work that you could do. Maybe you're not quite sure what you want to do yet. Social media allows you to explore and learn so much. So knowing what those things are, those pros are, the things that we're going to focus on and make sure happen, I also want to make sure that we address the cons, the things that could be problems using social media. So the first is that it takes some time to do, to really build it right. while it is free, it takes some time. We need to dedicate some time to get everything right, to make sure that all the words that we want to use are there, that the things that we're interested in are put on your profiles, put in the information that you share. Furthermore, it needs to stay up to date. You need to keep updating it over time to make sure that everything's still true. If you had a new job and then you tried something new, you want to put that new information in so it shows employers that you have different kinds of experience. Or maybe you want to do a different kind of work, so you want to make sure you update what you're putting out there. Next, some of you may have heard the term trolls before. There's that little thumbs down icon in the red section. There are some people that are just simply not nice online. We may call them trolls, we just may call them mean people, but in all cases, there are some people online that are not nice. We want to make sure that if there are those people that happen to, say, comment on something that you share, that we don't respond to them, you can block them, and don't take into account, or don't take personally what they say and do, because these people, their opinions don't matter. And there's ways that we're going to look at our Facebook and our LinkedIn later to make sure that these trolls, these mean people, do not mess with your social media, and that we can lock them out so that they can't. But if we start to respond to them, if we start to argue with them, if we start to do all of these things online with them, that they may be trying to make you look bad, and we don't want that. So if we don't engage with them and we learn how to block them quickly, then that way we don't have to worry about this part of the con section. But it's important for you to know that that does happen. Next, one of the cons of social media is that there's not much face-to-face time. So while we do have the option for FaceTime, and while we have the option for, say, using even a webinar like this, I'm not able to see you, unfortunately, but I can show myself and say you, hi. And while I'm not going to keep the camera on the whole time, I just want to show that while we don't always have the face-to-face opportunities, we do have some. So social media allows us to do this. It's just not quite the same as it would have been in person with face-to-face communication. So it is a con that we should mention. With that, good to see you all, and we can see each other later. All right, another con is that social media is always updating. Anytime we download one of these applications, there's always updates. They might change the way that it looks. They might change where things are. And it's important for us to recognize that that happens, and we should keep ourselves familiar with how to use these applications, these social media platforms. And this last one, sometimes you need help. Sometimes we should be looking to our supports, our friends, our family to maybe help us with managing this a little bit, especially if you have trouble with like losing passwords and things like that. It's a good idea to have someone help you in the setup of that to make sure that we don't lose passwords and that we can continue to access it so that you can update it. So that's some of the social media pros and cons. If you have any other thoughts on pros and cons of social media, things that are good things or things that are possibly problems, feel free to put it in the questions section. It doesn't have to be a question. It could just be a comment, something that you think about social media. And while we talked about that social media being such a huge, huge umbrella of so many different websites and applications, the two that I'm going to focus on today with you are Facebook and LinkedIn. There's a very important reason why we're going to focus on these two, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But I just want you to know that this is our focus today. You can use other types of social media for employment, for connecting with jobs and finding opportunities, but these are the two we will focus on. And how we use these is that we're going to look, we are using each of these applications to create the perfect filter for ourselves. We want people to see us online for work the way that we want to be seen. And we do that by really thinking about what we put online, what we put into these applications. So that first bullet you'll see here is strong content. When you want to do an employment-driven social media account, either using Facebook or LinkedIn, what you share, the content of what you share should be strong, and it should be all about work, keeping everything about work. There's a reason for that, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But the more that your message is very clear, because we spoke about this in the beginning, every social media has a different way of talking about a message, for the cats, for the donuts, also for work. When we think about how we talk about work on these platforms, on these applications, we have to frame our message the right way. We want to update it regularly, and you'll see in red assigning duties. Now, assigning duties really, for the purposes of this, for your own social media, it's thinking about when you need to do something and assigning it to yourself. Say, this week I really need to look at Facebook and look to see if there's any new jobs in my area. I'm going to do that this week. For my LinkedIn, I need to make sure that I schedule or I make some time to update it and make sure that it's really good, or to check my messages to see if an employer reached out to me. Those are important to be able to assign and basically schedule when you should be doing things in relation to your social media. And this is part of the work of finding work, but it's also something that you can do from home, even in bed. Next, you want to respond quickly. If an employer does reach out to you and leaves you a message, or you see an opportunity or you see a job pop up that you're really interested in, respond. Respond quickly, show your interest. The longer that we wait, the more that we might miss the opportunity. For those of you that are working with a job coach, all of these things involving social media, you can and should be working with them. And this is the type of encouragement together that helps you find the work that's meaningful to you, and also helps them make the connections with employers. You're helping them and you're helping your own job search all at the same time. So this brings us to Facebook, the first of the two social media applications that I'm going to talk about today. So what do we typically use Facebook for? We've mentioned that. So many people have Facebook. We use it to connect with relatives, to connect with our friends, to go check in for events and say that, yes, I'm going to go to that event this Wednesday. Or there's a really interesting community park event that's going on that the community park is sharing, and I want to know more about that and I want to go. We use Facebook to connect with a lot of things in our life. And part of our lives, part of the things that matter to us and are meaningful, are work. What a lot of people don't know is that Facebook, about 80% of all adults everywhere have a Facebook. And that since, I think it's over 65 million businesses are also on Facebook. So it is an opportunity for us to connect with so many businesses and so many employment opportunities. And when we share pictures and videos and links on our Facebook, be aware that people can see the things that you share on Facebook. And if we're going to use Facebook to find work, we want to make sure that the things that we share are not, well, I would say not embarrassing, but I have lots of things on my Facebook that are potentially embarrassing. And I don't want you to not post on Facebook, because Facebook is for you. Facebook is for the things that matter to you in your life. That's what that social media is for. But employers do look at Facebook, and you have the ability to create the perfect filter for yourself to show employers only what you want them to see. And to do that, we need to understand our privacy settings. So that's that third bullet, checking privacy settings. If you have those, fun photos of you and your friends doing something really silly, that's great. That's awesome. I have lots of those too. We just don't want to necessarily share those pictures with employers, because we want employers to see us not in our silly moments, at least not in the beginning. We want employers to see us working hard, and that we're going to be a good team player, and that we're friendly. Those are the messages that we want employers to get when they see our videos and our pictures and things like that. So we can check and change our privacy settings so that employers see only certain things in our Facebook. All of your friends will still see everything the way that you want them to see it, but we can change privacy settings for other people. And that work of going through your Facebook and changing things so that friends can see everything, but maybe someone that's not your friend, like a new employer, won't see some of the more personal stuff from you. That's called cleaning up your social media. So you go through your social media, but maybe you could do it with your job coach, you can do it with family or friends, and think about the ways that we can change what someone who's not your friend on Facebook sees when they look at your stuff online. So that's called cleaning up your social media. And we're going to dive into this a little bit. All right, so you will see here 2 screenshots of Facebook. You'll see on the right side a screenshot of mine from a long time ago. That's my daughter. She's much older now. But the important thing that you'll note from that picture on the right side is the I that's underneath my name, and it says view as underneath the I. And also in the picture on the left, you'll see if you clicked on the 3 dots and where that red circle is, it's circling view as. The reason that that exists, that is there, is so that we can look at our profile, what we're sharing with everybody, and view it as a stranger, view it as a friend. This is an important tool because it allows us to see what other people would see. When we look at our pages, it shows everything because we are the owner of that page. We are the owner of that social media account. But when we use the view as option, it allows us to view it from different perspectives. This is important as we go through all of the images and all of the videos and change our privacy settings. When you click on an image, you can choose to have it friends only can see this, or acquaintances can see this, or it's public. And public means that anybody can see it. When we go through cleaning up our own social media, we can choose to filter what people can see, what someone in the public, what a new employer might see if they got your resume and you would talk to them and they said, okay, let me look up this Rob Kimmel person and see what they share on Facebook. We want to make sure that when they look up your name, or if they looked up my name in this situation, they would see things that you'd want an employer to see, that they see images of you working hard or volunteering or being part of the community in a really meaningful way. Those are things that make an employer look you up and say, huh, I think that they look like they do a lot of good in the community, that they're strong workers, that they're interested in this work that I do. I think I want to take them on. That's how we start to really clean up our profile and tailor our Facebooks for work. And we can also use Facebook to learn so much more about the employers in our area, the work that we want to do. And it's so simple for us to do this because Facebook uses algorithms, they use formulas uh, that are based on you just liking pages, the little blue thumbs up. When you like a page, when you say that you like, let's say, a bowling alley that's near you that you go to all the time, or a restaurant that you really enjoy, or there's a type of work that you like to do, like you like to work with animals, so you start to like different zoos or veterinary hospitals or things in your area. What happens is that Facebook sees the things that you like and says, hey, John seems to really like a lot of things about this. I'm going to send not just the things that you like to your feed, to the first thing that you see when you log in, but I'm going to send them other things too that might be related because it might interest you. So Facebook starts to send you all of these new opportunities and new connections, new things that you can learn about. And that's a pretty powerful part of social media, is that it can start to give you more of the things that you already like. So it'll teach you so many things about the company and do a lot of work for you. All you need to do is go through and find the things that you like and just start to click that little thumbs up icon and like them. That's how we learn so much more so quickly. From there, this is just a quick video that I'm just going to play here, and you'll see how easy it is for employers to put a job posting up on Facebook. they very quickly just, for all of those pages that you like, let's say you liked Jasper's Market, you're interested in working at Jasper's Market, which is this, this pretend employer. An employer can very quickly put up a job ad saying, I would like to get a cashier for Jasper's Market, and I want people on Facebook to be able to find it. And so they've just, in that quick, I think 30 seconds, they've now published a job listing. Now, if you have liked Jasper's Market, if you have followed their page before, you'll see their job posting pop up right on your Facebook as soon as you log in. And then you now have an opportunity to access that job. And then you can also apply to job postings directly on Facebook. This ability has started happening in February of 2017. So 3 years ago, Facebook opened up a work section within the Facebook application. Some of you may know that, and some of you may not know that since 2017, Facebook has allowed businesses to post job postings on Facebook for free. And then you can also freely use your Facebook to apply to jobs. You don't need a resume. It allows you a Word text box that you can type into to show your interest. Say like, I'm very interested in this position. You can already have this filled out and ready with your job coach, and then you just copy and paste it into that text box. Once you've applied, you'll see in this little video here, it shows how quickly you can use just your phone to apply for a job. All of these things can happen while you are sitting in your pajamas at home. This is the power of social media. Also, when we clean up our Facebook, when we apply to jobs on Facebook, it pulls some of our information from our profile. So as long as we do the cleaning up of our profile earlier on, it can pull where your schooling was. It can pull like where you went to school, if you had other jobs, what jobs those were. And then once you're done applying to a job, you submit it, and then it pops up as a Facebook message for you saying that you've now applied to this job and this is what you said. And this helps organize your job search. So if you apply for many jobs at the same time, they will be organized for you so that you know which job it was that you applied to so you don't get confused. That can happen a lot when we're applying for a lot of jobs at once. So please keep it in mind. All right, and as we do our job searching, we can search by keyword and job type and industry, the things that we want to do. And some of the postings have rules for applying, but we can read those. We can work with our supports to find the jobs on Facebook that might interest us. And we're gonna push through here, but the cool thing about Facebook is that it allows us to shrink with a little circle, a little radius around where we live and where we want to find those jobs. And this is an ability that a lot of job searching tools don't account for. We can, if we only are able to use the bus or walk to work, we can shrink our circle so that we're looking for opportunities and jobs only in a very small area, but you can choose that area. And other ways that we can use Facebook are the hashtag. Some of you may or may not know what a hashtag is, but I'm gonna go through it. A hashtag, when you put a word after a hashtag, which is that little symbol that looks like a tic-tac-toe sign or a pound sign, that's called a hashtag. And what it does is, whatever that word is, so if you said rock after a hashtag, basically what you're saying is that whatever you talked about, you're connecting it to rocks or the category rocks. And then anyone that clicks on that hashtag, that clicks on that pound sign with the word, will find all other people, including you, that have shared a post or shared a picture with that label. So you're putting all of the things that you're talking about under that label in a category. And a lot of other people are doing the exact same thing. And when we think about that for Facebook, you can use hashtags to find jobs. There's a lot of, like we said, recruiters that have job openings and put out the job posting with hashtags that say hashtag hiring, hashtag careers, hashtag New Jersey jobs, hashtag freelance, whatever makes sense for that posting. And if you're looking for jobs, you could do it right now on your phone or on your tablet. If you are on Facebook, look up a hashtag and click on it and see how many people are saying, oh, I have a job opening and it has that hashtag, so you can look for jobs that way. On the other side, you can talk about yourself. If you are using Facebook or LinkedIn, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you can post about something that you are looking for. I'm looking for work in the Somerset area doing clerical work for a hospital. Like, that's what I want to do, and I'm excited about that. Hashtag hire me, hashtag candidate, hashtag interviewee. Like, you can put those things in your posts, and then that way a recruiter who's looking for talent, who's looking for people, may click on those hashtags themselves, maybe not even on your post, on someone else's, and they'll see yours also in that category of posts that have that hashtag hire me. And so they might look through that and say, all of these people are looking for work. They seem really motivated. They know how to use social media. That might be very important for the type of work that you're looking into. All of these are ways for you to use social media to not just find work, but for other people to find you. So this is a way for you to talk about yourself and have people find the things that you care about. Again, it allows you to research businesses as you're going through Facebook, as you're going through the things that they post. You can learn about the words that they use, the vocabulary that they use in the course of their work. You can also see how businesses talk back to people that make comments online. We want to make sure that we are looking to work for places that are respectful, that are good places. We don't want to work someplace with terrible people or mean people. And the way that companies talk to people online is a good way to start to figure out how nice or not they are, or how caring they are. And this also allows you to see if there's other people that you know that also follow these businesses, because Facebook can tell you, oh, these friends also follow them, or these friends also work there. And then you can ask them questions and make those connections and communicate with people. One of those pros of social media. Now, this is just funny. We all want followers at the end of the day, or we want to connect with people. I don't have a Facebook or Twitter account. I just go around announcing out loud what I'm doing at random times, so your posts. And I've got 3 followers so far, but I think 2 of them are cops. I don't know. I just enjoy that in relation to social media. We always want to connect with people, but we want to do it in a good way. All right, the last thing that I want to showcase for you today is LinkedIn. Now, I know some of the feedback, some people have told me about Facebook that they don't want to use Facebook because there's so much personal information that's connected to Facebook, that they don't necessarily want to use Facebook to find jobs, and I completely understand that. There are a lot of considerations on the pros and cons categories that I talked about earlier that you have to think about when you're using Facebook for work. There's huge opportunities there, but there's also things to think about and concerns. I understand. What I will say, though, is that LinkedIn is amazing for work. Everybody should have a LinkedIn account. Everybody. Because LinkedIn is basically your online resume. It is your online resume. Now, I say have all your employment and education information ready when you set it up. Many of you may have worked with somebody to develop your resume. All of us have done that at some point. We sit down with another person and they help us write our resume, put down our information in one place so that we can, excuse me, we have a document, we have a piece of paper that we can give to employers and say, this is what I've done so far. That's so great. That's so important to do. We should also be making a LinkedIn at the same time, because it's the same information and it's your online resume. So if you and your job coach are working together and you're making a resume and they haven't brought this up, bring up LinkedIn. Say, I'd love to also make a LinkedIn. That's definitely something that we should be doing together, and it'll give so much more opportunity. Now, when I say follow prompts during the setup, LinkedIn has a very nice, streamlined, clear way of when you log in and you start up for the first time, it takes you through different screens saying, this is information that you'd probably want to add. This is information you want to add. And it helps you build a nice profile. And one of the best things about LinkedIn, something that's different from almost every other type of social media, is that you can build your profile where people can find you They can look up your name and find you. And all of the information about your resume is there. No one can comment on it. No one can say anything about it. No one can say mean things or do anything to it. It's just yours. No one can mess with it. What you put on there is what you put on there and nothing else. And that's a very powerful, protective part of LinkedIn that's so good. This is the business-oriented one. This is all about connecting and communicating with as many people as you can. You're not necessarily friends with people on LinkedIn, but you're all connected together so that you can help each other find work, find opportunities. And you should all be doing this too. This is such a powerful tool for social media and finding work. This also follows the same things as Facebook and other social media where lots of businesses are on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in them, click on them, like them, follow them, because that way when you first log into your profile, your feed, that first thing that you see will be so much information about these companies. Maybe there's a new opening, maybe there's a new store that's opening up, maybe they are expanding or they're looking for more employees or there's a new posting. All of that information will be right at your fingertips. You don't have to take a ride, go out somewhere, go to the library, make calls, look through newspapers. All of this stuff is right there on your tablet, on your phone, on your computer. And these are things that we can do now. We can do them now, even during the pandemic and beyond. And so this right here is just a quick video. I'm just going to talk over it as it goes. But basically, it's just showing how, when you log in, what you might see. So this is me signing in. And once you sign in, the very first thing you're going to see is the feed. It's your news feed. So that's me on the left side, and your news feed just has a lot of information of maybe companies that you follow, people that you're connected with. And then this brings me to the profile when you click on your face on the top right. And this is all the information that I've shared, that I shared when I developed my LinkedIn. So it says what I've done, where I've worked, what I did when I was at that place, and things that I'm interested in. So just some basics of what the layout looks like. And when we connect to people online through LinkedIn, this gives us a lot of information that helps us in our job search and can help a job coach also that's supporting you in your job search. So when we talk about managing a network, this is managing the people that you're connected to, all the people that know you. And so it'll say who's viewed your profile, who's looked at you in the last 30 days, and then how many people you're connected to, how many people that you know on LinkedIn. And what happens, the way that we can increase those numbers, because that's what we want to do with LinkedIn. We want to meet more people, connect with them on LinkedIn. So we don't just forget about them. You meet so many people every day, every week, every month, every year. When it comes to finding opportunities for work, the more people we know, the more opportunities and jobs that we'll hear about. If you have an email, you can put that email into LinkedIn and it can look for possible connections. You may have forgotten about some of these people and you only have an email from them. LinkedIn can ask you, hey, is this somebody that you'd like to connect with? Just by putting in your email. From there, it can also show you people that you may know. So you'll see at the top of this picture, invitations. Someone might reach out to you and say, hey, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. And you may remember them because you met them at one point. And you're not necessarily friends again, but you can accept and connect with them because it's all about work on LinkedIn. It's all about building opportunities. Every time that you connect with people, other people, it's going to suggest to you, LinkedIn will start to suggest to you other people that you may know because you're now connected to this person. So it's like a spider web almost, like you start in the middle, but every time you reach out and connect again, you're now connected to more parts of the web. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you are connected to everything. For those of you that may know the joke of or the understanding of 6 degrees of separation, that you're connected to everybody in the world through at least 6 connections, 6 people that know each other. That includes celebrities and all of that. So there's a joke that it's also 6 degrees, not of separation, but 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, all the different ways that you can connect to Kevin Bacon. You may or may not know who Kevin Bacon is. I may age myself here, but that being said, the more people we know, the more opportunities we have. From there, LinkedIn also shows us people that we know and where they work. If we want to say, just as an example of this picture here, I know 2 people that work at Rutgers University. And so that way I could say, oh, if I wanted to work at Rutgers, maybe I should talk to them first. And it's an opportunity to build that connection. And I could contact one of them and say, hey, Summerly here is one of the ones from Rutgers. I could say, hey, Summerly, I'm interested in working at Rutgers. Do you happen to know anything about this program or any openings here? That's the way that we find out about opportunities. And you've now done all of that, again, in your pajamas, in your bed. Just because social media is powerful and gives you all of this information that you can use for a job search. As we continue down into LinkedIn, you can also do job postings and searching, same as Facebook. You can search by what companies that you're connected to, by people you know. So I know one person at YAI. And if I wanted to work there, maybe I could talk to that person before applying and say, hey, do you know who would be a good person to talk to get some more information? It's all about information. The more information that we have before we talk to employers, the more we can be prepared. We can search by keyword, company, where it is, and continue to look at the different companies in our network. The more people we have in our network, the more companies that we can also see. LinkedIn, a powerful tool, a lot of different ways that we can get information. So with that, that is what I have for you in regards to Facebook and LinkedIn. There's a lot of different ways that we could use this. I'm happy to unpack them, but I want to make sure to leave some time for questions. So thank you. And that's all, folks, for the presentation. I will move it back to the first slide so that this doesn't keep writing for you this entire time. And then we will move into the question and answer section. If you have any questions, please put them into the questions box and we will address them. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Rob. That was fantastic. So I'm going to check out the questions box right now. And it's not too late. If you have a question, a comment, anything you'd like to share, you can definitely write that in the questions box now, and we'll review those as we get them. Julia, great question about the slide set that was shared today. Yes, you can grab the full slideshow that Rob just presented from the handouts tab on GoToWebinar right now. You can just click on the icon labeled Picture Perfect Filter Slideshow PDF, and that will download and you'll have the full slideshow that we reviewed today. An archive copy of this presentation, since this was recorded, it will be posted to the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project website within the next couple days, so you can check it out there as well. And Rob, some great accolades coming in here. People are saying amazing webinar, great visuals, easy to follow, and a big thanks.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I see a question here about Jamie and Colleen, and I also wanted to mention this for all Boggs Center trainers that you may come into contact with over this time. We very, very much love connecting with anyone and everyone that we meet. You'll see on this first slide here, not just my email and contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, but also a LinkedIn icon. I would love it if from this presentation you created a LinkedIn and you wanted to connect with me, and then you'll be connected to all the people I know also. And that's the beauty of LinkedIn. So please, I encourage you to not just create one, but to connect with me and with Jamie and with Colleen and anybody else at the Boggs Center you may know, because that's exactly what it's for.
Excellent. And Rob, I see there's a question about who can view your profile on LinkedIn. So can employers see your profile if you have a LinkedIn account?
Yes, great question. And yes, they can. That is one of the huge benefits of LinkedIn is that I mentioned with the numbers earlier, 94% of recruiters, almost all recruiters use LinkedIn to find talent, to find people that want to work. When you create a LinkedIn, you're also going to be, when you're creating it, you're going to be prompted to say what kind of work you're looking for. And when recruiters are using LinkedIn to search for candidates, for job candidates, you will come up in that list. You will come up in that list of people that are interested in doing that kind of work. You can also put on your profile after you've created it that you are active. You can set your status. You can set your status for I'm actively seeking work, or I'm happy with work, but I'm always open for new opportunities. If you have a job and maybe you'd like to think about a new one, but you're not quite sure yet, others can hide that and say like, no, I'm very happy where I am. I just want to have my information out there in case someone really is interested in contacting me. All of these are options with LinkedIn, but the power of LinkedIn comes from the ability of employers to see everything that you're about that you put out there.
Excellent. Let's see, are there any other questions concerning the webinar or the topics discussed? Oh, I see some. Julia, you were part of the Partners in Policy Making program, which is run by the Boggs Center. So happy to hear that.
And that's actually, that's another fantastic opportunity. When you were part of Partners in Policymaking, that puts you into contact with many other people that you guys were all going through the same training at that point, learning about policy, learning about all of these things, listening to presenters speak, and really just developing your skills in so many areas. If you have a LinkedIn, you can connect with everybody that you met. And so all of those people, when they're out in the world, if they came into contact with jobs and they're connected with you, you can see the things that the people that they connect with, and maybe they heard of a job and can tell you because they know you're interested in it because of LinkedIn. So every time you meet other people in any type of capacity, if you're doing a sporting event together, or if you're at work with other people, or partners in policymaking, or any type of community event, it's an opportunity to connect with more people, and that's what we can use social media for.
Absolutely. It really creates a great opportunity to stay connected, like you said, while a lot of us are still spending a lot of time at home and not really following a usual routine that we had maybe, this time last year. It's still a really fantastic way to connect so long as we are aware of the, safety concerns and keeping the things that are private.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So yeah, Rob, you're getting a lot of love in the questions section. This was an amazing presentation. And we, again, so appreciate you sharing your expertise and covering this really, really important topic as part of our celebration of National Developmental Disabilities Employment Awareness Month.
Awesome. I'm so glad that I was able to be here and be a part. Actually, now that we've discussed all of this and that we've had the opportunity to unpack some of the questions, I have just a quick last minute poll for all of you, which is just simply, do you think that you'll use social media in the future to look for jobs? Yes, maybe, no, unsure. All of them are totally acceptable answers. Please do not pull your punches in this. But I get so excited when we talk about this. If you're skeptical, this is the opportunity to learn a little bit more, and then maybe get more comfortable with the idea of it. So thank you for those that participated in it. Leave it just a couple more seconds. Thank you. And yes, so basically 50-50 yes and maybe. Feeling pretty good about that. Thank you very much for listening. And again, if you have any questions beyond today, I'm happy to answer any and all of them. So don't be shy about emailing or connecting with me.
Excellent. Thank you again, Rob, and thank you everybody for listening in. We hope that you will join us for another session of the Stay Healthy at Home webinar series next Tuesday, November 3rd, which is also Election Day. So it's a really big day. We're going to be presenting again Tuesday, November 3rd with Wesley Anderson, who's the Director of Training and Consultation Services here at the ARC of New Jersey. So thank you again, Rob. Fantastic work. And we hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you, everybody.